We started discussion about what the kind of a picture of the old man given at the beginning of the topic indicates nothing but uh, about the about an old man, how he was helpless, how he was innocent, how he was, uh, how his past experience, and everything, right? So we can see that the picture itself is representing the miserable condition, and the kind of appearance shows that the dress and the turban, and the age of the man, age of the old man, isn't it? Um, then we think about the region for such kind of a feelings. We can talk about these feelings would be indicating her his personal um, personal situation. In this personal situation, we talk about like how uh, he suffered from a separation, love and separation, and he also have a kind of a hope, uh, hope to restore them. Such kind of a feelings you can draw that, and those of the things can indicate his appearance, right? Okay. Uh, then when we talk about what kind of a sound is this?
The spirit is coming.
It's a kind of a sound coming out from your side. Okay. Now we also understood from the beginning, like how the old man started going to a particular place, uh, and where we talk about it was early morning. The author clearly described the background setting, where he stated about it was the gray sky of early dawn, early morning. So stars are still shining, and it also indicating that the happy memories which are lightening up a life that is going to close. Those of the ideas are indicating about how people do the hard work in the whole day and slept at night, and wake up in the early morning and start their work. Um, and the author also stated about the happy memories light up a life that is nearing its close, which means called as how the aging process that continue for a period of time, and then after it gets stopped or people get old. Um, then the author introduced one of the character called as an old man who was walking through the town. Um, Again, now and again, drawing his tattered clothes, so it indicates that he wears the kind of a dress which is nothing but his usual dress, and that dress is completely torn. So and it's fixed into his body. That's why the author pointed that the tattered clothes tighter to cover his body from the cold and biting wind. So this indicates about the weather also. The weather is nothing but winter season and early morning. So that makes the old man feel cold and biting wind. So from some houses came the sound of a grinding mills and the sweet voices of women singing at their walk. So this resembles that as it was the early morning time, so not many houses are um, opened and not many people have come to work. But at the same time, the means the farmhouses, the meals in the village areas. So seeming like started their working or started their work, and the people who are working into it. So among them, some women are also there whose voices produces beautiful sounds of song when they were working, and the sounds uh, helped the home. You can say that. helped the old man along his lonely way, except for an occasional bark of a dog. So it also indicates that the street dogs, they are making the noise or barking, the distant steps of a walkman going early to work. So there are people also who are moving to their work, or the screech of a bird disturbed before its time. Screech means that called as a chirping sound, or called as the sounds of a bird that makes the people disturb, right? Because it was not that day, or it was not means coming to the morning, or it's not yet a morning even, you can say that. So the whole town was covered in a deathly silence, as people still on their bed, sleeping or taking rest. And most of its inhabitants, most of the means people were sleeping on their bed, the sleep which grew more and profound on account of the intense winter cold. So as it was the winter season, so what we can draw here, we can draw that people were, it was the time like a deep sleep covering to the uh, human being, or deep sleep covering to the people. So that's why the author pointed that people still on the bed, for the cold used to sleep to extend its move over all things, even as a false friend, Lord says, chosen victim with careless smiles. So you would also find out that when people on their bed, means this old man was going towards the town, to the post office, and for which you would find out some of the friends who are attracted to this person, and consider that this person become their what victim. So they make fun of him, so they make caressing smiles. So the old man shivering at times, but fixed on purpose. But the old man mind to their uh, did not mind to their criticism. He was shaking because of the cold, but he was determined, or perseverance, or called as a straight towards its purpose. What is his purpose? Reaching to the kind of a place. So plodded until he came out of the town gate on a straight road. So plodded until he came out of the town gate onto a straight road means what? Means his destination reaches to its uh, post office. Along this, he now went at a somewhat slower pace, supporting himself on his old step. So we also draw that what he was going a little slow, and taking the support of his old stick. Yeah.
Sir, here a line is given that I think you also explained that for the cold, use sleep to extend its way over all the things, even as false friend lulls his chosen victim with caressing smiles. So, what are these false friend lulls his chosen victim that night?
Plodded on until he came out of the town gate on a straight road. Along this, he now went at a somewhat slower pace, supporting himself. Okay, you asked me the question that quality for the cold you sleep to extend its move over all things, even as a false friend. Lal says a chosen victim with caressing smile. So when you talk about a false friend, what do you mean by false friend?
Means like they are not friends. Means they act like friends, but they are not friends.
Yeah. So what does it say? The sleep which grew more and more profuse on account of the intense winter cold. For the cold used to sleep to extend its move over all things, right? So it means people sleep on the bed, they ignore all the other things, right? Even as a false friend lulls his chosen victim with caressing smiles. So in that case, you would say that a false friend means here the author is making a kind of a comparison that the person who sleeps on the bed, right? So it was a turning morning. Still, he was on the bed. So he made many excuses to means many excuses to keep himself low on the bed, right? Even as a false friend, Lord says a chosen victim with the catching smiles. So false friend means a friend not considered as a truthful, right? So lulz is a chosen victim. Lulz is chosen victim means what? Who chose, so or who attract to his person with a catching smiles, or like what? Uh, Two-person, one who shows an artificial smile to the other, right? It means the author wants to point out that sleeping on the bed is something like what? Sleeping on the bed means is something like what? Taking the excuse of means intense cold, right? But at the same time, there was no, you can see that there was no rest needed, right? So you could consider that here the author's viewpoint is what? Now sleeping on the bed is like what? Meeting with an artificial frame, right? So that is the kind of a thought or comparison the author wanted to point out. Are you getting my
Yes,
point?
sir. Yes, sir. Means the author is saying that like we are wasting our time, or discussing with false friends, and in that way we are also wasting our time with sleeping on
Sleeping
bed
on the
for a
bed.
long time.
And you are taking the excuse of what? Intense cold, right? So here also, intense cold. That is what the author wanted to point out. So at the same time, on one side of the road was a row of trees. On the other side of the town's oblique garden, right? The sky was darker now and the cold more intense. For the biting wind was blowing straight along the road. At the end of the garden stood a handsome building of the newest style. Light gleamed through the crevices of its closed doors and windows. So here the author points out that what means the author shows the description of what the man's moving towards the post office, and while he was going towards the post office, what are the natural scenery that found across the road, or called as at the side of the road. You can say that at the side of the road there was a row of trees, right? On the other side of the town's public garden, right? So the sky was darker now, as we understood it was still done, right? It was early done, and the cold more intense means your winter season. So that's why means you won't find out early morning, right? You won't find out like the day comes soon. So for the biting wind was blowing straight along the road. So at the same time, the author said that what the chilling cold, right? Cold wind that came to him and also made him like what the shivering, right? At the end of the garden stood a handsome building of the newest style. So the author finally pointed that what now the post office or the post office building, which was looking like what a modern in color, right, and modern creation. So and can you please switch up the audio? It makes light gleamed through the crevices of its closed doors and windows. So here the author said that what the appearance of the building was nothing but beautiful, shining, and different colors. So that picturize the building or that describe the building, as well as the doors and windows are clearly visible. So the author also said that beholding the wooden arc of this building, beholding means what? That called as a appear when the old man see the when the old man sees the means structure of the building, right? So what happened? The old man was filled with a joy. Filled with joy means he got excited. Why he got excited? That he found out his destination. So like you can say that the author compared the old man with a pilgrim. So the like the pilgrim feels when he first sees the goal of his journey. So similar to that, the old man also feels very much exciting when he sees the means post office building. On the ark hung an old board with the newly painted letters, post office. So in this case, the author pointed that what the author stated that on the ark hold an old building with the newly painted letters post office. So it means the author pointed that he could see the post office name is written, or the post office is written, and it was written in the middle of the you can say that building, which was the newly painted letters. The old man went it quietly and squatted, right? So went it quickly and squatted. Squatted means called as a kind of a, uh, what do we say that? You could
So
say,
I understand what do we mean by squad.
no, no.
So
When we talk about the old man went in quietly, it means silently he went and sat on sat on the sat where is it the second one? Okay, sat on sat on the veranda. So the voices of two or three people busy and the routine work could be faintly heard through the wall. Right. So in that case, the author pointed that what means uh, when the old man was out sat means outside of the post office, so he heard the two or three people were busy and their routine workers, so they were doing their daily work, and the voices could be heard, faintly heard means called as a not clearly heard through the wall. So the voice was telling about what the police superintendent, right? A voice called sharply. The old man started at the sound, but composed himself again to wait. But for the faith and love that warmed him, he could not have burned the bitter coal. Right. So you would find out that
the what?
no. Do you hear? I think uh, the kind of a sound it creates like lots of disturbances. So that's it. So
Okay.
mm,
Right.
the old man started at the sound, but composed himself again to wait. Right. So what did the old man do here? The old man sat outside of the veranda and wait for when his name would be called. So, but for the faith and love that warmed him, he could not have burned the bitter cold. Means he could not means even care about the means bitterly cold that made him feel chilled and also shivering. Still, but you can say that he get the excuses of that faith and love. Now, what is that faith and love that we know, right? So after that, name after name rang out from within as the clerk read out the English addresses on the letters and flashed them to the waiting postman. So author stated that what means the people who are working inside the post office, what did they do? Now they simply means throw the letters and calling the names, right? And they're kind of a activity doing. So seeming like what they were having a long practice of it. So um, you would find out that from long practice he had acquired. He had acquired means he referred to whom? You would find out the clerk, right? He had acquired great speed at reading out the titles like commissioner, superintendent, Diban Sahib, librarian, and in flinging the letters out. So flinging means called as throwing the letters out, or you can say that keeping the letters out. In the middle of the procedure of a jesting voice from inside called Coachman Ali. So while they were doing the activity or doing the kind of a job, so at the same time means a jesting voice, a kind of a louder voice coming from inside that Coachman Ali. Now, who called the name and whose name is Coachman Ali? So we understood that the old man who was sitting outside the post office veranda. So his name was Coachman Ali. So when he heard the name, he got up. He raised his eyes to heaven in gratitude and stepping forward, put his hands to the door. So it seems like what he was very, excited and he was very thankful to the God. When his name was called. His name was called by whom? His name was called by means you can say that the club. Yes, ask. You want to ask question? Okay. Yeah. So yes, so we will go for that. Uh, but let me quickly just cover to the area where we have means ended so far. So in that case, Gokul Bhai. So you would find out that he thankful to the god that he his name was called. So who called him Gokul Bhai? Yes, who is there? You called out Coachman Ali's name, didn't you? Here I am. I have come for my later. So finally, it's a madman, sir. So who said that? You would find out that the clerk said to the postmaster, "It's a madman, sir, who worries us by calling every day for letters that never come." So the old man who made problems to the post office people for every day he means every day he comes to that place and he asks for his letters, and that's the reason means the clerk here pointed him as the madman. So the clerk said to the postmaster. So the old man went back slowly to the bench on which he had been habituated to sit for 5 long years, right? Um, Ali had been a clever shikari. As his skill increased, so did his love for the hunt. Till at last it was impossible for him to pass a day without hunting. When Ali sighted the earth brown partridge, when Ali sighted the earth brown partridge, almost invisible to other eyes, the poor bird, they said, was as good as his bag, as good as in his bag. His sharp eyes saw the hare crouching, even when the dogs felt to see the creature cunningly hidden in the yellow-brown scrub. Ali's eyes would catch the sight of his ears, and in another moment it was dead. Besides this, he would often go out with his friends, the fishermen. Now, if you observe that the paragraph 11 and 12, what did it say? It said about that when the clerk said to the postman that this man was mad. Why he was called mad? Now, he was called mad because that man means comes to the place every day, means from the past 5 years, right? And he used to sit in the same place means for 5 long years. That is the region means, and whether he receives any letter or not receives, nobody knows. But the thing is that as per the clerk to the postmaster, that what he comes to that place means every day for 5 long years. Even it is also said that Ali is a past. Ali's past is what? Ali is a clever shikari, and we understood that what he was very skillful in hunting. His love for the hunting, so he could means he could see any of the creature uh, very clearly and could kill it, right? So that is what nothing but shown his expertise. Even the author also said that, taking an example that anyone who could see or not if our hair is hiding in somewhere or not, but but Ali could see it and Ali could kill it. So even the dog failed to see the creature cleverly hiding inside the yellow-brown scrub or called as a grasses. But Ali could see it and Ali could hear the kind of a sound of that particular animal. And the next moment, Ali could kill that. Beside this, means he have also he has a kind of good friends with whom he used to go visit different places, and these friends are nothing but considered as the fisherman. So, but the author also said that it was all about his youngest time. So now he was grown old. But when the evening of his life was drawing in, he left his old ways and his life suddenly took a new turn. So now, as he turned old, so his life was suddenly changed, and he left all such kind of things like meeting with friends, the fishermen, or called as hunting to animals, right? So why did it all happen? Now the author pointed that his only child, whose name is called as Miriam, who married and left him a long time ago, you can say that 5 years ago, she went up with a soldier into his regiment in the Punjab. And as we understood that his daughter got into marriage to a soldier into his regiment in the Punjab, and the kind of appearance of the old man given in the picture seems like what means this story belongs to the place called Punjab. And for the last 5 years, Now, after that, what happened? And for the last 5 years, he had no news of this daughter. Now, this makes us sense that what why the old man means goes to the post office every day, right? For the past 5 years. Now, it is because of his daughter. His daughter who got into the marriage 5 years ago, and since then he means he had no information, right? Therefore, so for Ruth's sake alone, he dragged along a cheerless existence, and this one is stated here means as a father means um, he waited for that. He waited for that later, right? And he believed that means it is his daughter for which means he has been living a kind of a cheerless existence. Cheerless existence means called as a miserable situation or miserable appearance or sadful life. Now he understood the meaning of love and separation, and after his means daughter's separation from him. So he understood what is love and what is separation. He could no longer enjoy the sportsman's pleasure. So no longer enjoy the sportsman pleasure means we understood that he was a clever shikari. So therefore, means the author wanted to say that what he was expertise on that hunting part, and it was because it was considered as the one of the sports for him, and he did not enjoy that same sports which he used to enjoy during his youngest time. So why? Because of his separation from his daughter, and he did not get the kind of a happiness, right? So he pointed that he could. The author pointed that that the old man no longer enjoyed the sportsman's pleasure and laughter at the bewildered terror of the young patriots bereft of their parents. Young patriots bereft of their parents means that the young ones who separated from their parents, right? So, and that creates nothing but a kind of a terror, right? And that's what is something called as a creating sadness in the home, means in the old man, right? So the author also said that although the hunter's instinct was in his blood and bones, yeah, although the hunter's instinct means called as the kind of a interest or quality was in his blood and bones. It means he did not hunting, right? Or he did not do hunting, right? Still, the author wanted to say that he did not forget the kind of a hunting knowledge, or you can say that the expertise in hunting, right? It was still in his blood and bones. So such loneliness had come into his life since the day Miriam had gone away. So he was completely separated from his sports called hunting, and he was living a kind of a lonely life since the day Miriam or his daughter had got into the marriage and left him. So that now, forgetting his sport, he would become lost in the admiration of the green conflict. So the author said that he was making himself busy or called as always moving around in the means admiration of the green conflict means called as he loves the beauty of the nature. He reflected, he remembered deeply. He remembered deeply what? He remembered deeply and he remembered deeply and came to the conclusion that the whole universe was built of what? Built up through love, and that the grip of separation was inescapable. So the author also pointed that the old man's thought leading to the conclusion that the universe was nothing but filled with the love, right? And the grip of separation was inescapable. Though love is present, but there is a separation, and no one can escape from that separation. So that can make you separate from your beloved ones, or you can say that the kind of a situation that the old man Coachman Ali was suffering. So same kind of a situation one can also face. In a kind of a time, what happened? Son and daughter gets into the marriage and they get separated from their parents. And understanding this, he sat down under a tree and wept bitterly. So when he recollected or remembered all such kind of a things, and when he realized all such kind of a things, he cried severely. From that day, he had risen each morning at 4 o'clock to walk to the post office. And this is the kind of a thing made him what? Made him to go to a post office every day in the early morning, 4 o'clock, mm, and ask for the letter of his daughter. In his whole life, he had never received a letter, but with a devout serenity born of hope and faith, he preserved and was always the first to arrive. Now, this makes him uh, so a kind of a hopeful person. So the old man or Coachman Ali was nothing but a hopeful or optimistic. So though in this last 5 years he had not received a single letter, but with a kind of a discipline, with a kind of a determination, with a kind of a full of hope and optimism, so he saved in him and always goes to the where? Always goes to the post office, right?
Sir,
Yes.
sir,
Yeah, go ahead.
sir, why has he always go to the post office? Because the postman can also post the letter to him if he got that. So why he always goes to post office then?
Why he always goes to post office?
He, sir, if he ever received the letter, then the postman could give him that letter in his house. Why is he traveling so hard to go to the post office for a letter?
Okay, can you tell me that why he always goes to the post office in the early morning and before anyone goes to there?
Well, maybe because he wants to get his letter moment the earliest or the first one to get the letter.
Yes, now this could be the reason. So he did not means he wanted to receive the letter from the post office, and he felt like what means this could be the time when the post office comes with a letter to the post office. So I will go and collect from there, right? And means before the postman means leave the place, or before the postman means uh, before the postman take the letters and go somewhere, right? He wants to reach the post office as early as possible so that he could meet to the people and he could get means get his letter back or get his letter received, right or not? So it's not about that he waited for the postman to come into his house and give it to him, right? So he it is his nothing but a kind of a perseverance, it is his determination, it is his dedication, it is his means wanting for what letter to receive, and that's why he goes to the means that's why he goes to the post office, right? Another example I would like to
Okay.
also I would like to give another example here. Let's say that means we all know that we have given the exam and the result will come out, right or not? And whether it's a pass or fail. So still we are checking or not, checking in the means internet. So although we know that what the result will come to our school and the result will be means known to us, right? Still we are checking or not, are not we?
Yes, sir.
So why do we do that? It is our anxiety. It
Yes.
is, it is our anxiety. It is our means interest. It is our means what do we say that uh, a kind of nature, right? You can say that it is our nature. So even though we know that things will come to our home, still we are checking if things we are still we are means looking for it or searching for it, right? So fine. Next is called as the post office. Please switch off your audio.
Sir,
Uh, the post office.
sir, we had completed till 27th paragraph.
This I think the rest of the things will be completed very soon. Don't worry. So after that, what happened? The post office, one of the most uninteresting buildings in the world. So we also understood that what the post office, one of the most uninteresting buildings in the world, became a place of pilgrimage. You always occupied a particular seat in a particular corner of the building. So the author wanted to point out that, describing nothing but how the building looks like. The building was means a government building, so that's why it is looking like different in color or different in shape. So the author pointed that it was uninteresting building, so, and it was nothing but comparing with the pilgrimage or a kind of a temple. He always occupied. So the author stated that he has a kind of a place in the post office, a particular seat in the particular corner of the building. And when the people got to know his habit, they laughed at him because they considered he was an old madman. He was a madman. The postmen began to make a game of him, even though there was no letter for him. They would call out his name for the fun of seeing him jump up and come to the door. So they want to means make a fun. They want to make a game with him. So calling his name. So when they call his name, so what happened? He immediately come to the door and ask like whether his letter came or not. Or he asked like whether his name was called or not. So, still with boundless faith and infinite patience, he came every day and went away empty handed. So, the author stated that it was nothing but his strong faith and unbearable, or called as a continuous patience. So, that make him what? That make him to sit there means for a long period of time. And he came every day and went away empty handed, though he did not receive a single letter. While Ali waited, peons would come for their farms later and he would hear them discussing their master scandals. So, when we talk about master scandals, it means these peons, right, or the official people, government official people who involve in a what different kinds of activities, different kinds of fun, or you can say that clever 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 game. So those are the things they discuss inside the post office, right, or inside the office. And those of the things means the coachman Ali means heard it sitting outside the veranda. So these smart young peoples in their spotless turbans and creaking shoes were always eager to express themselves. So the author also said that what means they were having a very good uniform as well as wearing the shoes, and those shoes were means making the sounds when they sleep on the ground, and they were always eager to express themselves, so they were simply showy. Meanwhile, you could say that the author is making a sarcastic comment to the post office people here, right? Though they appear good, but their way of their behavior, right, or their involvement in different activities, so they were nothing but involving in a master scandals. They were criticizing to the coachman Ali. So the door would be, you could say that these people are nothing but what means not in a um, means what do we say that uh, uh, good-minded people, you can say that. So the door would be, after that, what happened? The door would be thrown open, and the postmaster, a man with a face as sad and as inexpressive as a pumpkin, right? So now the author stated that how the postmaster looks like. The postmaster looks like, or his face is sad, gloomy, and also inexpressive. It seems like what he was uninteresting, and the shape is something like a pumpkin, would be seen sitting on a chair inside. There was no glimmer of animation in his feature. No glimmer of animation means no shine of artificiality in his features. Such men usually prove to be village schoolmasters, office clerks, or postmasters. So the author means considered that these people are familiar figure of the schools, post offices, and you could say that some of the village means offices. So the author also said that one day he was there as usual and did not move from his seat when the door was opened. So the clerk called out police commissioner, and a young fellow stepped forward quickly for the letters. Right. So and he was called the superintendent. Another voice called, another peon came, and so the clerk, like a worshipper of Lord Vishnu, repeated his customary thousand names. Right. So you would find out that means the names were called out: police commissioner, then superintendent. Uh, so another peon came, and so the clerk, like a worshipper of Lord Vishnu. So why it has been indicated the name of Lord Vishnu? Now it was named because like um, a devote, a devotee, so who are called as a pilgrim who pray to the God, right? And when he heard the name of the God, he immediately, come forward, right? Simultaneously, here also you would find out uh, when the clerk called out police commissioner, right? So, or superintendent, at the same time, the peon came out. So the clerk, like a worshipper of Lord Vishnu. So the clerk was considered as the Lord Vishnu, and peon are here the peons are nothing but considered as the pilgrim, right? So repeated his customary thousand names, and it was something like a what all the times the names are called out. At last they had all gone. They had all gone means what? Means this peon and clerk. Ali got up too and saluting the post office as though it housed some precious relic. So it gave him some kind of a comfortability. He went up, a pitiable figure a century behind his time. So pitiable means what? It's something like what? He was very sad. He was his appearance looks like miserable. So the postmaster asked, "That fellow, is he mad?" So the clerk answered, "Oh, yes. Who, sir? Oh, yes. No matter what the weather is, what the weather is, he has been here every day for the last 5 years, but he doesn't get many letters." Right? I can well understand that. Who does he think will have time to write a letter every day? But he is a big tester. In the old age, he committed many sins, and maybe he shed some blood within sacred precincts and is paying for it now. The postman added in support of his statement. Now, here you would find out that the clerk and the postman had a kind of a conversation about the old man or Coachman Ali. So, and the postmaster said that he looks like a madman, and who does have time to send letter to this old man? So the clerk said that what, yeah, yes, we know that still he comes to this place every day since our college for the past 5 years. And it seems like what he did some kind of a crimes in his youngest time. What kind of a crimes? Now, as he was a sikari or clever hunter, so he killed many of the means holy or called as religious means animals are called as pure blood, right? Pure blood of some animals, or maybe done some kind of a crime or sin. Sin means called as a curse, right? Sin means something called as a bad things that she did, that he did, and for that, what happened means he got the punishment for it. So the postman added in support of his statement. So the postmaster said, "Madmen are strange people." So yes, once I saw a postman in Allahabad who did absolutely nothing but make little heaps of dust, and another had a habit of going to the riverbed in order to pour water on a certain stone every day. Now, the postmaster was giving his experience and stating that what how uh, in his man's in his duty.
Became madman. How is
Yeah. So some how some madmen are. So he talk about a couple of people like a postman in Allahabad, how he was doing nothing, but make a little heaps of dust. Little heaps of dust means what? Gathering nothing but the waste. And another had a habit of what? Going to the riverbed in order to pour water on a certain stone every day. So this seems like what? Another person considered that what very religious. He was giving water to the stone because he believed that the stone was the god. And the previous one or the former one considered to be a means a very cleanly person because means he gather all the dust right in a particular place or means he did not do anything but clean the place you can say. So, oh, that's nothing chimed in another. So, oh, that's nothing chimed in another means as it was the conversation between clerk and the postmaster. So, we understood the postmaster gave some example. The clerk also added and said that I knew one madman who paced up and down. So I knew one madman who paced up and down all day long, right? So paced up and down all day long means what? Who moved to and fro or called as a here and there all day long. Another who never stopped declaiming poetry, and a third who would slap himself on the cheek and then begin to cry because he was being beaten. Now, if you consider that 26 and 27, 27 paragraph gives all the you know logical example of what logical example of madman, but 26 doesn't talk about the example of madman, right? So you can say that the postmaster's examples are not been considered as the actual example of the madman, but 27 could be because one was moving here and there could be considered as a was jogging all day. So second was who never stopped declaiming poetry. Never stopped declaiming poetry means what? Considering that what things are not poetry or called as a, you may consider also he stopped declaiming poetry. Stopped declaiming poetry means what? What do you mean by declaim? Not to claim, not to claim poetry.
Yes.
And the third who would slap himself on the cheek and then begin to cry because he was being beaten. So this could be called as an example of what? Madman. And everyone in the post office began to talk of lunacy. Lunacy means called as a foolish, right? So the meaning of lunacy is known as a what? Foolish. So all working class people have the habit of talking periodic rest by joining in general discussion for a few minutes, right? So it means what? Uh, as the discussion between postmaster and clerk, but now the discussion reaches to everyone, and they all started talking about the food, uh, foolish people, and also stated that all working class people have the habit of taking periodic rest by joining in general discussion for a few minutes. As you know that in office, so people generally make a kind of a gathering and they start talking about here and there. So after listening a while, the postmaster got up and said, it seems as though the mad live in a world of their own making. So the postmaster made a kind of a comment that what it seems as though the mad live in a world of their own making, right? So it means mad people are living in their own world, right? So whatever they believe, whatever they thought, so they thought that all are true. So to them, perhaps we too are mad, and for the mad people, the normal people are mad, right? So that is what the postmaster's comment. The madman's world is, yes, sir.
Sir, means like these following paragraphs were a bit jumbling for me. What I understood that the first example of a postman in Ahmedabad, in that case, the postman was not actually mad,
Yeah,
and in the next two examples, where see what the I knew one madman who paced up and down all day long, means who jogged all day, and another who declaiming poetry. So what is like declaiming poetry? I can't understand this.
When
So
then
he did not claim the accepted poetry.
yeah, so he never stopped, right? He never stopped. That what? Declaiming poetry means you can say that he makes a kind of a different writing poems, right? So or called as a he used to write many poems. You can say that. So he never stopped, right? It means he always declaiming poetry, writes some kind of a poems, right? Which are not even poem. Got my point? You are
Yes,
writing,
sir.
you are writing certain portion. For others, it is not poetry, but for you, you are a poetry. For you, it is a poetry.
Okay.
So, and the third, who would slap himself on the cheek and then begin to cry. So, this is also example of a madman.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, next,
Because sir, what do you mean by the thing? Oh, that's nothing. Chimmed, chimmed. CHIMED, chimmed.
chimed, somebody who is expressing another remark. Oh, that's nothing. Right. So, it means what? Now, the clerk here made the comment to whom? Made the reply to the postman, sorry, postmaster. That what? What you are saying? It's nothing. Right. So, like you say, no, instead of told or instead of said, you say asked or promised or replied or revert or chimed, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Ah. So, next is called as a
Sir, what is the meaning of lunacy? Lunacy.
lunatic, is called as a fool or called as a somebody who is a mad. Lunacy, begin to talk of foolish. Begin to talk of foolish. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And everyone in the post office begin to talk of foolish, means all mad people. All working class people have the habit of taking periodic rest by joining in general discussion for a few minutes. After listening a while, the postmaster got up and said, "What? It seems that the mad people live in their old world, own world, and for them means the normal people are mad. The madman's world is rather like the poet's, I should think." So it means the poet, according to the postmaster, the poets are mad, right? Like the poets are having with a different kind of a different kind of a thought and different kind of a lines which they connect and make a kind of a poem which are very difficult to understand by the common people or normal people. So that is the reason you can consider the mad people are compared with the poets. Okay.
Okay.
He laughed as he spoke the last words. So he laughed as he spoke the last words means the postmaster. Looking at one of the clerks who wrote indifferent verse. Looking at one of the clerks who wrote indifferent. Indifferent means called as a some kind of a unique point. Then he went out and the office became still again. Right? Who went out and the office became still again? So
The
means
postmaster.
yeah, for several days, Ali had not come to the post office. There was no one with enough sympathy or kindness or understanding to guess why Coachman Ali had not come to the post office. But all were very interested to know what had stopped the old man. At last he came again, but it was a struggle for him to breathe, and on his face were clear signs of approaching end. What do you mean by clear signs of approaching end? It may be called as a, it is
He
his
was going to die.
yeah, he is going to die or it is his ending time. That day he could not contain his impatience. It means we understood that he was having the infinite patience, but after a long time when he did not come to the post office and finally he came. So, okay, give me a second. Okay, fine. So where we were talking about, yes. For several days, Ali had not come to the post office. there was no one with enough sympathy or understanding to guess the region, but all were interested to know what had stopped the old man. At last the man came again, or at last he came again, but it was a struggle for him to, breathe, and on his face it was a clear sign of approaching end, or you can say that clear signs were found on his face that he was going to die. That day he could not, contain his impatience, because we understood that Coachman Ali was having the infinite patience, but that day means he was not. He did not contain his impatience, and he went forward. So he said, he requested the postmaster. What did he request? He said that, Master Sahib, do you have a letter from my Miriam? So from my Miriam means my daughter Miriam. The postmaster wanted to get out to the country and was in a hurry. So the postmaster was in a hurry, or called as a going somewhere. So that's why means he got irritated by the kind of question of the Coachman Ali, and said, "What a paste you are!" Paste means what? What kind of a means person
They're
you?
unwanted things.
Yeah, so pest, that's something called as a uh, um, pesticide. We generally say no,
Yes, sir.
pesticide. So that's something called as a kind of a thing which will harmful to the means germs. So in that case, what a harm you are, or what a poisonous means, or what kind of a person you are. You can simply
Means
take
he
it.
insulted him.
Yeah. So what a paste you are, brother, he exclaimed. So means Ali answered absent-mindedly, my name is Ali. Right. So absent-mindedly means he did not, concern what the postmaster was saying to him.
Coachman is said,
Mm.
yes.
So I know, but do you think we have got your Miriam's name registered? Right. We have got your Miriam's name registered. So like we only wait for your Miriam's later and to give you, or when will it come, and will give to you. So after that, then please note it down, brother. It will be useful if a letter should come when I am not here. So who said? Means the Coachman Ali said. For how should the villager who had spent 3/4 of his life hunting know that Miriam's name was not worth a pice to anyone but her father? So he pointed that. I know, but do you think we have got your Miriam's name registered? So, means then please note it down, brother. It will be useful if any letter should come when I'm not here. I'm not here means if means Coachman Ali was not there. For how should the villager who had spent 3/4 of his life uh, hunting know that Miriam's name was not worth a pice to anyone but her father? So he said that uh, means he was a villager and who spent almost you know all his life, for what? All his life for hunting uh, or searching, spent 3/4 of his life hunting, know that Miriam's name was not worth of pice to anyone but her father. It means he believed that what the later of his daughter is nothing but very important for him, or may not be important for anyone else, right? And he is in a last stage of his life. So that's why he wanted that what he wanted his later should reach to him. The postmaster was beginning to lose his temper. So as we know that the postmaster was very, irritated, and also was means going outside. So that's why means he said again that, have you no sense? He cried. He cried means he shouted. Have you no sense? Get away. Do you think we are going to eat your later when it comes? And he walked up hastily. So who? Means the postmaster. Ali came out very slowly, turning after every few steps to look at the post office. His eyes were filled with the tears of helplessness, for his patience was exhausted. Even though he still had faith, yet how could he still hope to hear from Miriam? So it's something like a very painful situation for the old man, right? So Ali heard one of the clerks coming up behind him and turned to him. So, brother, he said, yeah,
Yes, sir, continue.
no, no, no. Yeah. Um, the clerk was surprised. So, but being a decent fellow, he said, well, the clerk was surprised, but being a decent fellow, he said, means here we were not talking about, means the clerk who was talking with the postmaster. Here we were talking about, means another clerk maybe. So the clerk was surprised, but being a decent fellow, he said, well, here look at this. Here, look at this. And Ali was showing something to that postmaster, sorry, the clerk. And Ali produced an old tin box. And that tin box means having with 5 golden guineas, right? So, and emptied 5 golden guineas into the surprised clerk's hand and give it to means clerk's hand. Do not look so startled. Startled means surprised. He continued, they will be useful to you as they can never be to me. So it means those old guineas, right? He pointed that these monies are not useful to me, but these will be useful for you because you can spend it. But I'm in a last stage. What I will do with that old guineas? But will you do one thing? So he wanted to tell that what now in place of this money, so do me a favor. So as we know that in all these government offices, right, some people are, corrupted and some people do not work without taking some kind of a bribe. So like that, you would find out that this is also kind of a situation in the post office where the old man wanted his letter, and for that means he gives money to the clerk, or called as the old guineas to the means clerk. Said that what will you do one thing for me? What? What do you see up there? What do you see up there? Ali pointing to the sky, right? And saying that what do you see up there? Ali said, pointing to the sky. So the clerk said, heaven. Heaven means that's something called as a god or sky. According to the clerk, could be a sky, but according to Ali, it would be God. Yes, Allah is there, and in His presence, I'm giving you this money. When it comes, you must forward my Miriam's letter to me. So, means what is the job that the Coachman Ali wanted the clerk to do? That when the Miriam's letter come, so at the same time, so he should send that letter to whom? Means send that letter to Ali. So again, the clerk with the confused, bewildered, utterly confused or completely confused and asked, but where? Where am I supposed to send that letter? So Ali said, to my grave, right? So what? So the clerk was surprised. Yes, it is true. Today is my last day, my very last, right? Alas, and I have not seen Miriam. I have had no letter from her. There were tears in Ali's eyes as the clerk slowly left him and went on his way with the 5 gold guineas in his pocket. So finally, Ali gave the money and left. Ali was never seen again, and no one troubled to inquire after him because, as we know, that means uh, Ali made a kind of a statement, and why he did not show after that could be a reason of his death. Um, Ali was never seen again, and no one also troubled to inquire after him. One day, however, trouble came to the postmaster. His daughter lay ill in another town. Now, understand that means we say no, whatever you sow, so shall you reap, right? In that case, here also you would find out that one day, however, trouble came to the postmaster. His daughter lay ill in another town. So it's not about Coachman Ali. It is the postmaster who's a daughter who was, means who was suffering from ill in another town, and he was anxiously waiting for news of her, right? Who was anxiously waiting for news of her? The postmaster. And the post was brought in, right? And the letters piled on the table. Piled means gather on the table. So, seeing an envelope of the color and shape, he expected that what the letter came from his daughter. So the postmaster eagerly, snatched it up, and you can say that tore it. It was addressed to Coachman Ali. So whose letter it was? It was Coachman Ali's letter. And who sent it? It was Coachman Ali's daughter sent. And he dropped it. So because he got into, kind of a surprise and fear, he dropped it as though it had given him an electric shock. The haughty temper of the official had quite left him in his sorrow and anxiety. Haughty means called as the pride. So you feel like what the kind of a criticism, the kind of a pride, the kind of a short temper the who have the postmaster have, right? So that you won't find out now. So means what happened? Means those of the qualities, those of the negative qualities quite left him and make him nothing but a sad and interesting. Why sad? Because means he shouted Coachman Ali and he criticized Coachman Ali for coming to that place 5 long years, right? So, but he also wanted to know that, interested that how come the later came after a long time? He had laid bare his human heart. Laid bare his human heart means he showed his emotion. He knew at once that this was the letter the old man had been waiting for. So he understood that it was the letter he was waiting. It must be from his daughter Miriam. So the postmaster called Lakshmi Das. Who is Lakshmi Das? The clerk.
The clerk.
For such was the name of the clerk to whom Ali had given his money. So Ali gave money to whom? Lakshmi Das, 5 gold guineas. Yes, sir. This is for your old coachman Ali. Where is he now? So Lakshmi Das immediately said, I will find out, sir. The postmaster did not receive his own letter all that day. So, but the postmaster who was waiting for his uh, means, daughter's letter, so he did not receive that day. He worried all night and getting up at 3. Getting up at 3 means 3 o'clock in the early morning. So that was the time. Means generally Ali come to post office and he went to sit in the office. When Ali comes at 4 o'clock, he mused. He, said silently that when Ali comes at 4 o'clock, I will give him the letter myself. So for now, the postmaster understood Ali's emotion, Ali's heart, and his very soul. So he understood what a father's soul and what a father's heart is. After spending but a single night in suspense, right? So after spending but a single night in suspense, so one night changed the postmaster's, the postmaster's emotion, anxiously waiting for news of his daughter. His heart was, brimming with sympathy. Brimming means what? That's something called as a shaking or making a sound with the sympathy for the poor old man. Like sometimes say, oh. So that person who has been waiting for his daughter's later and that came. So means now I understood what a father's feeling. So such kind of feelings come out in the means in the in the postmaster's heart. So who had spent his nights in the same suspense for the last 5 years. Now understand two fathers, the postmaster and the coachman Ali. Coachman who had been waiting for his daughter's letter last 5 years, and the postmaster who had been waiting for his daughter's letter for 1 year or 1 day or one night.
Yeah,
one night. So the kind of emotions, both have the same feelings, right? At the stroke, but if you look at the Coachman Ali, his feeling is
Coachman
more,
Ali has been tolerating it
yeah.
for last
So
5 years.
that shows the kind of a hope, positiveness, infinite patience. So at the stroke of 5, he heard a soft knock on the door. Who? Meant the postmaster. He felt it was Ali, and he quickly rose from his chair. Means because he thought that it was Coachman Ali and he got excited. His suffering father's heart recognizing another. So one father's heart understand or identify another father's heart feeling and immediately jumped to the door widely opened. So and he cried and said, come in, brother Ali, come in, handing the letter to the meek old man. Handing the letter to the meek old man means called as the calm, the means weak old man. bent double with age. Bent double with age means called as a means the coachman Ali's age is more than the postmaster's age, who was standing outside. Ali was leaning on a stick. Leaning means what? Taking the support on a stick and bending forward. And the tears were wet on his face as they had been when the clerk left him. Right. And the tears were wet on his face as they had been when the clerk left him. Right. So you would find out that the postmaster was crying. Right. So, but his features had been hard then, and now they were subtend by lines of kindliness. Now but the kind of emotion you would find out in the postmaster is something like a different. It was very soft and kindliness. He lifted his eyes, and in them was a light. He lifted his eyes, and in them was a light so unearthly that the postmaster shrank back in fear and surprise. Or so because the postmaster saw it was not the coachman Ali, it was something else. It was something like a light, right? He lifted his eyes, and in them was a light so unearthly that unearthly means somewhere it came out uh, in the early morning that the postmaster fall back in fear and astonishment.
So it means that the postmaster gave the letter to Ali, or has not given.
Not given him.
But the unearthly light came like divine light.
You would find out that don't try to reveal the mystery, otherwise you would find out something like you would not get the charm of it. Lakshmi Das had heard the postmaster's words as he came towards the office from another quarter. So another quarter means another after some time when Lakshmi Das came. Who was that, sir? He asked. Old Ali? He asked. Who was that, sir? Old Ali. So, but the postmaster took no notice of him. He was looking with wide open eyes at the doorway from which Ali had disappeared. Right. So, but the postmaster took no notice of him. No notice of whom? No notice of means Lakshmi Das. He was looking with wide open eyes at the doorway from whom? No, from which Ali had disappeared. Where could he have gone? At last he turned to Lakshmi Das. So he asked Lakshmi Das, where could he have gone? So, yes, I was speaking to Ali, he said. At last he turned to Lakshmi Das. Yes, I was speaking to Ali, he said. So, old Ali is dead, sir, but give me this his letter. So who said? Now you would find out that this makes the kind of a conversation between Lakshmi Das and the postmaster. And he came to Lakshmi Das and asked, like, yes, I was speaking to Ali. Who was speaking to Ali? The postmaster said. Postmaster. So, but Lakshmi Das said that old Ali is dead, sir, but give me his letter. So what? But when? Are you sure, Lakshmi Das? So Lakshmi Das said, yes, that is so. Broke in a postman who had just arrived. Right. Ali died 3 months ago. So in that case, Lakshmi Das also cried and said that broke in a postman who had just arrived. So he got into a kind of a sad situation and said, Ali died 3 months ago. The postmaster was bewildered, confused. Miriam's letter was still lying near the door. Ali's image was still before his eyes. Whose eyes? The postmaster's eyes. He listened to Lakshmi Das' recital. Recital means that he was saying something and he was means recollecting. He listened to Lakshmi Das' recital of the last interview, but he could still not doubt the reality of the knock. So he felt because he heard the sound, somebody knocked on the door, and the tears in Ali's eyes, and he also saw Ali was crying. He was perplexed. Perplexed means confused. Has he really seen Ali? Right. Now the postmaster was confused that whether who knocked at the door. It was Ali. With whom he talked. It was Ali. Ali was crying. So all such kind of things made him confused. So had his imagination deceived him? He thought like what it was something like a made him nothing but a kind of a cheating. right? Or something like an imagination that came to his mind, or had it perhaps been Lakshmidas. So, or it could be Lakshmidas who knocked at the door, who was talking about the months later, all such kind of things. So the daily routine began. The clerk read out the addresses. Now that day, that night was over and everything was completed. So, and after that, as usual, the daily routine of the postman office started. The clerk read out the addresses, police commissioner, superintendent, librarian, and flanced the letters deftly. Right. So, but the postmaster now watched them.
What do you mean by deftly, sir? Deftly.
And flanced the letters deftly means called as a deft means what?
What's
Now, when you say that the daily routine began, the clerk read out the addresses, police commissioner, superintendent, librarian, and flanced the letters deftly, or called as you can say carefully, because earlier it was something like a what? Carelessly, right?
Yes, sir.
So now, means what happened? So they were nothing but habituated with such kind of things. But now what happened? Means they were carefully or called as watching each and every name means properly scrutiny. What do we say? That is scrutinizingly, or called as a means each and every letters name would be carefully read and give a handover, you can say that, plus the letters to the concerned person.
Okay, means it was not thrown.
Not to thrown in. No, it is stated, flaunt the letters or given the letters, but with a careful manner or with a kind of emotion presented into it. So earlier, such kind of things were not present, right? So, but the postmaster now washed them as eagerly as though each contained a warm, beating heart. Now, that's what you would find out. He no longer thought of them in terms of envelopes and postcards. So, he saw the essential human worth of a letter. So, the right letters, the envelopes and postcards earlier considered was nothing but an object, but now it was considered nothing but full of emotion, right? Contains some emotions connected to the human being, and therefore they means you they distribute, they observe, and they read them with full of full of interest, you can say. So that evening you could have seen Lakshmi Das and the postmaster walking with slow steps to Ali's grave. That evening, you could have seen Lakshmi Das and the postmaster walking with slow steps to Ali's grave. They laid the letter on it and they turned back. So finally, they did the work, right? Did the work what? Means they gave the letter to whom? They gave the letter, or they laid the letter on the grave of the Ali. So, Lakshmi Das, were you indeed the first to come to the office this morning? So, this was the question who asked? The
Postmaster.
The postmaster. So, what did he ask? Lakshmi Das, were you indeed the first to come to the sorry. Lakshmi
Post
Das,
office.
were you indeed the first to come to the post office this morning? So, and then after Lakshmi Das answered it, yes, I was the first. So, then how? Then how? No, I don't understand. What, sir? So, oh, never mind. The postmaster said shortly. At the office, he parted from Lakshmidas and went in. The newly vacant father's heart in him was reproaching him for having failed to understand Ali's anxiety. For now, he himself had to spend another night of restless anxiety. Tortured by doubt and remorse, he sat down in the glow of the charcoal cigarette to wait. Now, up to this, you would find out that he was confused that whom did he meet in the morning in the post office, right? So he believed that it was Ali, but when it asked to Lakshmidhar said that what? It was he who came first in the office. So, and that's what made him nothing but more confused. And that's why means he did not want to answer that when Lakshmidhar wanted to know that means what he did not understand. So the it showed that the postmaster finally, the postmaster's heart finally changed and shown as a newly wakened father's heart. And it was because he failed to understand Ali's interest, Ali's love for his daughter, right? So, uh, but for that reason, you would find out that he himself had to spend another night of restless anxiety, right? So tortured by doubt and remorse. So he was in a kind of a repent. Repent means realization. He was having the kind of a doubt. Whom did he meet in the morning? And he was in a remorse. Remorse means called as a silent and sad. So he sat down in the glow of charcoal cigarette to wait. Wait for what? Wait for his daughter's letter, or maybe means to meet Ali. Right. But he could not, he must be waiting for his daughter's letter. He sat down in the glow of the charcoal cigarette to wait. Wait for what? Wait for his daughter's letter, who has been suffering from him. Isn't that it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is what.
There are few word meanings.
Yeah, tell.
Sir, first one, perplexed.
Confused.
Okay. And then confused after that, that reproaching.
Reproaching means approaching means near. Reproaching means to get the same kind of. He was reproaching him for having means asking himself again and again that how come he did not understand Ali's anxiety, Ali's love for his daughter.
Okay. So then remorse.
Remorse means called as a silent, you can say, green silence, doubt and remorse.